My name is Keely Reese, and I'm a professor and chair at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse, and I have been a SOFI member since 1999. I've always considered SOFI my professional home. I have other professional homes as well with National Eta Sigma Gamma, and I've been a member and a faculty sponsor of two Eta Sigma Gamma chapters, one at the Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville, and currently for the last 21 years at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse. I am just rolling off of my national service position with Eta Sigma Gamma as past president, and I'm really excited that Eta Sigma Gamma and SOFI work so well together and have overlap in their mission of providing a professional home. And Eta Sigma Gamma is an honorary and a professional association for students. And then when students graduate, it's just a natural connection for them to be moving into joining SOFI. And so by having our meeting, our annual meeting and conference with SOFI, it just allows for a perfect marriage of the two, and for bringing many students to the SOFI conference. It allows us to bring in new energy and ideas and help students find their professional home. There's just a lot of opportunity to be involved, and that can look like subcommittees, that can look like putting your name in the hat for a board position or back in your state. I've also lived in states that had a state SOFI affiliate chapter, and so it's just a really great way to also bring back your service and your professional competencies on a local level, at a state level. The benefits of being a SOFI member outweigh anything, because you are around other people that are navigating the similar challenges that we face in public health, and that could be on an academic institution, that could be in our local county health departments, our state divisions of public health, our nonprofit agencies, all the way to our research government organizations as well. And every year coming back together to share those experiences. I think some of the best parts about SOFI are the outside the sessions and the networking that happens in between the 15 minutes that you have to get to your next session. And on top of it, the staff and the board that puts together an incredible program every year. What I love about SOFI, and I was a graduate student when I first came to SOFI, and I think my first conference was in Boston, I think in 1999. It's just the amount of networking for a new PhD that was looking for an academic home, and the ability for us to really find others to connect with and talk about research, talk about the types of institutions that you might want to work with. And so it's like a homecoming every year to come to SOFI conference and just see your colleagues and really dear friends that you've had for over, some of us, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, depending on where you are in your journey. And I love seeing all the new fresh faces coming in as well. My other experience with SOFI that I just hold near and dear to my heart was stepping in and serving as the annual meeting trustee, and this was in 2016 for the Charlotte, North Carolina conference, and working so closely with, on the board, you're a board member, and then you are working so closely with the staff members, and for an entire year putting together a program, searching venues, putting together the mood and vision boards for all the marketing materials, all the way down to the finite details of the award ceremony, the banquet, and then working with all the subcommittees on those. So that's the abstract subcommittee and the program, the CE committee, and all the way to the logistics of, the behind the scenes things. You just get to know every single intricacy of putting together an annual meeting, and it's absolutely a highlight of mine. I would highly encourage people to volunteer. That could be on an editorial board. Publishing in the journals is an absolute honor and privilege. Reviewing other people's works for the editors as well. And then all the way to, participating in webinars online. It's just a really great way to garner more of your continuing education units. I happen to be MCHES, Master Certified Health Education Specialist. So my entire tenure I was first certified as a CHES in 1999 as well, all the way through to current today, MCHES. And SOFI is definitely the place where I would say that I garner the most of my continuing education units throughout the year, whether that's reading journals, attending webinars, or attending the conference. There's something really nice about the intimacy of the size of this conference that allows people to feel really engaged. It allows, I think, graduate students and undergraduate students the chance to really step in and walk up to maybe a leader in the field and have a conversation with them, whereas maybe at a bigger conference they would feel very removed. And I love that aspect of SOFI, is that there's a lot of roundtables and networking opportunities where your undergraduate students are sitting right next to one of the key leaders in our profession that have written their textbooks or have, conducted the hundreds of studies on a topic that they're interested in. So I think that's one of the main things I love about coming back, is just that size and the ability to really deeply connect with your colleagues and peers. From coming in as a student and being so welcomed and so well mentored, I think I have just made sure to always carry that on for the next group coming in. And so what I love about SOFI is the amount of mentoring that they do. And at a SOFI conference, or even when you become a new member for SOFI, the welcoming packet, the amount of communications that you get from SOFI about what's happening, the newsletters. But when you arrive to a conference as a new student, there's new student events, there's new student networking opportunities. For many years, I have ran the speed dating mentoring sessions for new participants. I've been a part of that for many years. I attended those when I was a student, as well as now I'm the one leading those. And so I think as a new person coming in, I hope, and I sense that from the students that I've brought over the last 20 plus years to SOFI, that they have felt very welcomed. Many of my students have actually served as interns at SOFI. And so for them to come to a conference and then apply for a SOFI internship and then spend their time in Washington, D.C. as a full-time intern has been an incredible opportunity for many of our candidates. Just in the hallway passing reminded me that I was the reason that they got involved in leadership opportunities in SOFI, and had never really told me that story before. And it was just like, oh wow, so sometimes you don't even know the impact that you're having on a person, or sort of tapping someone on the shoulder to say, hey, I think you'd be really great for this student trustee position, or to serve on a subcommittee for an annual committee. One of the other biggest things I tell all of my students and other professionals, when you're part of a professional home like SOFI, you have the advantage of having an advocacy and a policy person in that SOFI office and in that role that are keeping track of legislative policies that are happening and resolutions that we need to be making statements about as a profession. It's a voice for often being a member allows you to have your voice heard in that big collective sense. And I'm just really proud of all the efforts that SOFI has done over the years to really advocate for specific legislation, and having had a lobbyist or a policy person that does that work on our behalf, but very much keeps our members involved and on board with that. As you can tell, I'm sharing lots of ways that people can get involved in SOFI. There's a place for everyone.